The Acehnese War, a protracted and bloody conflict, stands as a testament to the unyielding spirit of the Acehnese people against Dutch colonialism. This war, often overlooked in broader historical narratives, highlights the resilience and determination of a people fighting for their homeland and way of life. This fierce struggle, spanning over 3 decades from 1873 to 1904, left an indelible mark on Acehnese identity and Indonesian history. The war saw numerous battles, shifting strategies, and significant sacrifices from both sides, making it one of the longest and most grueling conflicts in the region. Located on the northern tip of Sumatra, Aceh, known as the Veranda of Mecca, boasts a rich history of trade, Islamic scholarship, and fierce independence. Its strategic location made it a coveted prize for colonial powers, but also a bastion of resistance and cultural pride. The Acehnese, renowned for their strong martial tradition and unwavering religious beliefs, presented formidable resistance to the Dutch, who sought to expand their colonial dominion in the East Indies. Their resistance was not just a military endeavour, but a cultural and spiritual stand against foreign domination. The Acehnese War, marked by its brutality and the tenacity of the Acehnese resistance, serves as a stark reminder of the human cost of colonialism and the enduring struggle for freedom. The war's numerous battles and skirmishes left deep scars on the land and its people, shaping their collective memory and identity. The war's legacy continues to shape Acehnese identity, politics, and the region's complex relationship with the Indonesian state. The echoes of this conflict can still be felt today, influencing contemporary Acehnese society and its ongoing quest for autonomy and recognition. This essay delves into the background of the Acehnese War, examining the key events, the strategies employed by both sides, and the lasting impact of this bitter conflict on the Acehnese people and their homeland. Through this exploration, we gain a deeper understanding of the complexities and enduring significance of the Acehnese War in shaping the region's history. Long before the arrival of European powers, Aceh flourished as a powerful and prosperous sultanate. Strategically positioned along vital maritime trade routes, Aceh emerged as a major center for trade in pepper, spices, and other valuable commodities. The Acehnese people, predominantly Muslim, embraced Islam with fervor, and Aceh became a renowned center of Islamic learning and scholarship. The region attracted scholars and traders from across the Islamic world, further enriching its cultural and intellectual landscape. At the helm of this thriving sultanate stood the Acehnese Sultan, a powerful figure who commanded both religious and political authority. The Sultan's rule extended over a vast territory, and his influence reached far beyond Aceh's borders, forging alliances and rivalries with neighbouring kingdoms. The Acehnese people, fiercely independent and proud of their heritage, developed a strong martial tradition. Skilled warriors, renowned for their courage and tenacity, formed the backbone of the Acehnese army, ready to defend their homeland from any threat. The arrival of the Dutch in the Indonesian archipelago in the 17th century marked the beginning of a new era, one that would ultimately lead to centuries of colonial domination. The Dutch East India Company, driven by an insatiable appetite for wealth and power, sought to monopolize the lucrative spice trade. Initially, the Dutch maintained a relatively cordial relationship with the Acehnese Sultanate. The VOC established a trading post in Aceh, recognizing the Sultanate's strategic importance and economic potential. However, tensions simmered beneath the surface, fueled by conflicting ambitions and mistrust. The Dutch, driven by their expansionist agenda, gradually sought to exert greater control over Aceh and its resources. This ambition clashed directly with the Acehnese determination to preserve their independence and sovereignty. As the 19th century dawned, the balance of power shifted dramatically. The VOC, plagued by corruption and mismanagement, met its demise. The Dutch crown assumed direct control over the Dutch East Indies, ushering in a more centralized and aggressive colonial regime. Section 4. The spark ignites, the outbreak of the Acehnese War, 1873. The simmering tensions between the Dutch and the Acehnese finally erupted into open warfare in 1873. The spark that ignited the conflict was the signing of the Sumatra Treaty between the Dutch and the British. The treaty, concluded without Acehnese consent, effectively handed over Dutch control over Aceh, violating previous agreements and enraging the Acehnese people. The Acehnese Sultan, determined to resist this foreign imposition, declared a holy war against the Dutch. On March 26, 1873, Dutch forces, under the command of Major General Johann Harman Rudolf Kohler, launched a surprise attack on the Acehnese capital of Banda Aceh. The Dutch, confident in their superior firepower and military might, anticipated a swift victory. However, the Acehnese, fueled by righteous anger and a deep love for their homeland, were prepared to fight tooth and nail. Armed with traditional weapons and a burning desire to repel the invaders, the Acehnese mounted a fierce defense. Section 5. A fortress breached. The fall of the Sultan's palace. The initial Dutch assault on Banda Aceh focused on capturing the symbolic heart of the Acehnese Sultanate, the Sultan's palace. The palace, a sprawling complex of wooden structures, represented the Sultan's authority and the Acehnese people's cultural heritage. Dutch forces, equipped with modern artillery, bombarded the palace, reducing its once grand structures to rubble. The Acehnese defenders, vastly outnumbered and outgunned, fought valiantly but were ultimately overwhelmed. The fall of the Sultan's palace, while a significant victory for the Dutch, did not extinguish the flames of Acehnese resistance. In fact, the loss of their cherished palace only fueled the Acehnese people's determination to fight for their freedom. The Sultan, along with his loyal followers, retreated into the interior of Aceh, vowing to continue the struggle against the Dutch. The war, far from being over, was about to enter a new and even more brutal phase. Section 6. Unconventional warfare. The Acehnese guerrilla resistance. The fall of Banda Aceh and the subsequent Dutch occupation marked a significant turning point in the Acehnese War, altering the course of the conflict dramatically. Recognizing the futility of conventional warfare against a technologically superior enemy, the Acehnese adopted a new strategy: guerrilla warfare, which would become their primary mode of resistance. The dense jungles and mountainous terrain of Aceh provided a natural haven for the Acehnese guerrillas, offering them both cover and strategic advantage. They knew their homeland intimately, using their extensive knowledge of the land to their advantage, setting traps and ambushes for the unsuspecting Dutch forces. The guerrillas, often operating in small mobile units, launched lightning raids on Dutch patrols, supply lines and outposts before melting back into the jungle, making it difficult for the Dutch to retaliate effectively. The Acehnese guerrilla tactics proved highly effective, frustrating the Dutch military and inflicting heavy casualties which demoralized the colonial troops. The guerrillas, deeply embedded within the local population, enjoyed the unwavering support of the Acehnese people, who provided them with food, shelter, and crucial intelligence on Dutch movements. This unconventional warfare, characterized by its fluidity and reliance on local support, became the hallmark of the Acehnese resistance, defining their struggle for independence. The Dutch, accustomed to fighting conventional battles, found themselves ill-prepared for this new type of conflict, which required a different set of strategies and tactics. Section 7. A long and bloody struggle. Key battles and events, 1873 to 1904. The Acehnese War raged for over 3 decades, marked by countless skirmishes, ambushes, and bloody battles. This prolonged conflict saw both sides employing various strategies and tactics to gain the upper hand. The conflict exacted a heavy toll on both sides, leaving thousands dead and the land scarred by violence. The devastation was not just physical, but also deeply emotional, affecting generations of Acehnese families. One of the most significant battles of the war took place in 1874 at the Anyuk Galong Pass. This strategic location became a focal point for intense fighting. The Acehnese, led by the charismatic commander Tuku Umar, inflicted heavy losses on the Dutch, demonstrating the effectiveness of their guerrilla tactics. His leadership inspired many to join the resistance. Another pivotal event occurred in 1896 when Tuku Umar, who had initially allied with the Dutch, defected back to the Acehnese side. This bold move shifted the momentum of the war. Tuku Umar's return dealt a severe blow to Dutch morale and reinvigorated the Acehnese resistance. His defection was celebrated widely among the Acehnese people. Despite facing fierce resistance, the Dutch gradually gained control over more territory in Aceh. Their advances were slow but steady, marked by numerous small victories. The Dutch employed a scorched earth policy, burning villages and crops in an attempt to break the will of the Acehnese people. This brutal strategy aimed to starve the resistance into submission. The Dutch also established a vast network of forts and outposts across Aceh, seeking to contain the guerrillas and assert their authority. These fortifications became symbols of Dutch dominance. However, the Acehnese resistance, though weakened, continued to challenge Dutch rule. Their enduring spirit and determination kept the hope of freedom alive.